So through the years, we've had so many superhero films. Probably too many, considering we've gotten to the point where Kraven the Hunter is dropping movies for his 3 fans. But none have seen more movies than Spider-Man. Between Tobey Maguire, Andrew Garfield, Iron Boy Jr., my fault. Let me put respect on his name. Between Tobey Maguire, Andrew Garfield, Zendaya's boyfriend, and Miles Morales, we've gotten 10 theatrical Spider-Man movies, which makes for a perfect top 10 rankings, while also placing them in tier lists to illustrate which movies, despite being one after another, I believe are on the same level or not. This is ranking and reviewing every single Spider-Man movie. Number 10. The Amazing Spider-Man 2, F tier. I got The Amazing Spider-Man 2 in last place. And I know that Andrew Garfield's got a cult fan base. Andrew could murder children and y'all would be outside like R. Kelly fans justifying it.
She saw piss coming, she stayed.
Yeah, she did.
And why should I have to miss out on the next R. Kelly album just for that?
And I understand it for real. I get the concept of liking a movie that's quote unquote bad or has major issues. I'm a Transformers Bayverse fan. And by every metric, those movies have the writing of a bunch of illiterate dudes. 18 Floyd Mayweathers in there cooking up bullshit. I fuck with Alvin and the Chipmunks. Like, trust me, I get the concept of liking things despite the poor writing and poor characterization and just having fun with it. I can get that. But I'm sorry, bro. TASM 2 isn't that. It is genuinely just a miserable watch for me. I will say it has some of the best shots in Spider-Man movie history. Spider-Man swinging through Electro's field when they're fighting, that's fire. The scene versus Electro in Times Square, the opening swing scene. Gwen Stacy's death might be the most visually appealing Spider-Man scene ever. The way the web is reaching out looking like a hand, you could see her reflection in his mask. But that's the few good times in the movie, and the rest is a bunch of this.
My dad left a briefcase. That's all I got, briefcase full of junk.
Who the hell told that nigga Andrew that we talk like that out here? I would have taken this over what he did.
I'll see you later. Bye. Yo, what's up, B? How you feeling? What's going on? Yo, let's bounce, son.
Literally everything with Harry Osborn is ass, and he's a huge part of the movie. Had me staring like this when they tried to make me feel bad for a nigga we met 20 minutes ago. So you mean to tell me this is his best homie and we ain't hear about him for a whole movie before this? I don't care that he's dying. Don't get me started on when he becomes Green Goblin. They really forced Green Goblin down our throats randomly at the end of the movie. I really hate that a villain like Green Goblin was just a throw-in at the end for a final battle. Ain't no one trying to see Shocker for a full movie. You could have used him for that instead. While on villains, we might as well mention Electro. Yeah, I'd be mad too with that cut, Brody. The shift from him being Spider-Man's #1 glazer to fuck you nigga let's die.
I hate you, nigga, let's die.
I understand he's supposed to be mentally unstable, but I'm sorry, I just can't buy it. Niggas get their teeth fixed and start moving different. To me, I feel like it was a cop-out for just lazy writing so that he could turn heel out of nowhere. And they could have thought of something better than him being jealous that Spider-Man is getting more attention than him.
I just wanted everyone to see me.
Hello, motherfucker.
So now Spider-Man gotta die. This is also a movie for some reason where they decide to make Peter's parents like super important, which I don't know why. Those niggas supposed to be more relevant than Lil Pump in 2026. Spider-Man's parents are never a big part of his story. So much of the movie is Peter trying to figure out the shit with his dad, throwing a calculator at the wall and coins falling out, and he takes them to a random fucking train and it reveals that his dad developed a spider formula.
Hey, y'all, come look at this.
Human DNA that I implanted in the spiders was my own.
And it conveys the idea that Peter becoming Spider-Man wasn't by chance, it was like his destiny. That shit is ass. We seen Across the Spider-Verse, and they got a horse being Spider-Man, okay? This is not something that's only supposed to be destined for Peter Parker. Stan Lee's whole vision was that you could see yourself in Spider-Man. Spider-Man could be anyone, but now they tried to make this nigga the Avatar like it was always meant to be him. The story is just so disjointed. It jumps between Peter's parents' mystery, his relationship with Gwen, and the villain plots without a core central theme at all. I know a lot of people like Andrew Garfield and Emma Stone together in these movies and highlight them as a huge positive. I like them in the first movie, but in this movie they kind of just get on my nerves. It's not cute anymore with sacrifices, and they could have taken this movie to show him doing that, but instead he just doesn't. Gwen also pisses me off. I know she's Miss Independent, but shorty, you are not Wonder Woman. At every corner, Peter's trying to warn her of the danger and she keeps putting herself in it.
I'm coming with you. You know that you need me.
Fuck around and find out. Now your brain's splattered on the ground. There's also little inconsistencies between Peter's character that really annoys me, specifically when he's Spider-Man. Like we see him stopping those little kids who were bullying that geek with the fan, and he fixes the fan and walks the kid home. And then earlier in the movie, he's just letting Rhino run through the city, killing everyone while he's quipping to him, and a bunch of cop cars and civilian cars are getting turned over. Like, what the fuck? Ultimately, TASM 2 is just a brutal watch for me. There's some cool moments, the suit is dope, the actors are very talented, but that's not enough to overcome the shitstorm that is the writing in this movie. Number 9, Far From Home. C tier. I really don't like Far From Home. This movie is more setup and resolution for past and future movies than anything else. They gotta wrap up the endgame fallout, like Tony being barbecued and everything with the blip, and then set up the next shitty Nick Fury show, so let me include him in this film and reveal he's a Skrull. This felt like when the Russo brothers made Infinity War, killed Gamora, and then tossed the Guardians back to James Gunn for Guardians 3 and said, well, good luck my nigga, write your way out of this one. The fact that he's not in New York truly does hinder the film a lot. Within Spider-Man movies, New York is damn near a character within itself. Nobody trying to hear oui, bonjour instead.
Where am I, sir?
Hey, hi. Is Book op Langedyke?
Especially when he spent a large portion of the first movie in DC already. We're trying to see Spider-Man in New York. Is that too much to ask for? It just makes the movie feel like they're trying to make it bigger than it really is, especially when you got Mysterio out here talking about the multiverse and introducing Skrulls in the post-credit scene. Is this the friendly neighborhood Spider-Man or not? Not every movie needs to be a friendly universal Spider-Man movie, bro. So much of what's supposed to be a Spider-Man movie revolves around Tony Stark. Hell, the main villain is more pissed at Tony than anything else.
I'm like, what'd he say fuck me for?
The whole movie is framing Peter as trying to live up to be the next Iron Man. Hey Peter, we're good. Ironheart is here. He even gives the glasses that Tony gives him away to Mysterio. Happy was smiling ear to ear, looking at Peter all proud when he's building the suit, saying he looks just like Tony right now. Nigga, nobody in the theater was going, aww. I was losing it. Is this Spider-Man or fucking Iron Man 4? That suit was weak too. I don't mess with the red and black one. You know they got a merchandise quota they have to fill, so this is the nigga's 13th suit at this point already anyways. So much of this movie is Peter denying responsibility, denying being Spider-Man, trying to push that responsibility onto Mysterio. And it's just such not a Spider-Man thing to do. It just feels like a crazy lesson to still be learning at the end of the second movie. It feels like we're just going over similar concepts from Homecoming. There's been no growth. He ain't did shit but step back since then. Without getting too much into Homecoming, cause that'll be later, but in that movie he learns responsibility. This isn't a game. That sacrifice is necessary. With him not being able to go to the dance, he learns he doesn't need to be the next Iron Man or Avenger. He doesn't need the suit. He needs to be who he is, and that's the friendly neighborhood Spider-Man. In this movie, he's learning responsibility. That he can't push it on Mysterio. It's his to accept. He learns sacrifice. That his school life won't be what it once was. You can't have a normal vacation. He learns he doesn't need to be the next Iron Man. He needs to be who he is, the friendly neighborhood Spider-Man. Are y'all noticing a pattern here? Fast forward to No Way Home and guess what? He learns sacrifice. Instead of making Peter becoming Spider-Man a movie lesson, they decide to make it the entire trilogy. The entire trilogy is about him becoming Spider-Man, and it makes each individual movie feel like we're just beating a dead horse. Also, I'm just really not interested in seeing a slice of life Spider-Man film. Like 2/3 of this movie is him sightseeing Europe, having a hating competition with Brad Davis, the 40-year-old playing a sophomore, and buying weak-ass necklaces with fake-ass metal that are finna turn MJ's skin green. There's just not enough Spider-Man in the Spider-Man movie for me at all. As well as the action being ass. I will give them that the Spider-Sense final scene versus the drones was cool, but even the concept of him unlocking Spidey Sense itself was stupid. This movie just has no sauce, it has no soul, it feels like the most MCU-ified movie ever. Number 8, Homecoming, C tier. I know some of y'all finna get mad at me for this one, but to be honest, Homecoming and Far From Home are the same level to me. But one had to be before the other, so I just put it, they really just two cheeks of the same ass when it comes to being a Spider-Man movie. But it's different. For one, Homecoming peaks a lot higher than Far From Home, I'll give it that. And secondly, Far From Home the entire time is just a snooze fest. I feel like I'm listening to J. Cole watching that movie. Homecoming, on the other hand, is actually really good once the Vulture stuff really kicks in, but that takes damn near an hour into the movie to happen, and the first half is so boring, it's a nothing burger. Like I said before, the MCU made a weird decision where they made the whole trilogy about Peter becoming Spider-Man versus just the first movie being that, and it was a choice I do not fuck with. I'm not interested in seeing Batman learning he has to be the symbol of hope and not fear 13 more times in the Matt Reeves verse. I was ready to pull my hair out watching this movie. The amount of times I had to hear Peter go, "Oh, but Mr. Stark, I can't do this, I can't do that. Mr. Stark needs me, but what if Mr. Stark calls?"
McGee, Rainchild, Zeke Jr.
I get it!
Shut the fuck up! The glaze on Tony is ridiculous. I'm not fucking kidding to you when I say the first 40 minutes of this movie, Peter is non-stop blowing up Iron Man's phone, and he's just catching "she busy lil bro" text back. He's dubbing him. Tony said he'd call him, and Peter spends literally 40 of the first minutes refusing to do anything cause what if Mr. Stark needs me? When I tell you this shit is so boring. I understand they're trying to set up a lesson that's gonna be taught by the end of the movie, but you can also do that in a way that's interesting. The Avengers met you once, little nigga. You not joining. They always looking at you in Civil War like, who is he? And again, another Spider-Man movie where the action has no sauce. The action is so incredibly mid, which is something that the previous Spider-Man movies with Tobey and Andrew, with all of their issues, did not have a problem with the action. Literally except the Vulture final battle. That's the only good piece of action. There are positives to this movie though. It's not the worst thing ever. I think Tom Holland is a much more accurate take on what life is as a nerd in high school. Niggas is not getting shoved into lockers anymore. Bullies aren't big ass 36-year-old seniors like in the previous movies. Flash is a modern take on a bully nowadays. Bullies are much more just an annoying nigga with money or entitlement issues who just says slick shit to you every now and then. Not a big Hulk jock nigga calling dudes twerp and taking niggas lunch money. I also do find this movie funny at times.
What are you doing here? There's a dance.
I'm looking at porn.
I think the Spider-Man scene where he's crying and is able to free himself from the rubble is dope. That's the type of mental strength I expect from Spider-Man, and it was nice to see him overcome the mental obstacle in a moment of weakness. I think the scene where he's saving them from the elevator in DC is really good too. He puts on like a fake New York accent. That's funny. But probably my biggest issue with this film is the fact that it feels like it really lacks any consequences. The biggest consequence is him literally just not getting to go to Homecoming with Liz. Or I guess maybe losing the suit Tony gave him. But you shouldn't have had it in the first place, that hand-me-down ass shit. You should have got it out the mud and built it like real niggas did. But when we've seen Spider-Man that were homeless, seen their uncle die, lost the love of their life, had their aunt boom, I'm sorry bro, him missing out on Homecoming just doesn't move me. Kill that nigga Ned at least or something. Not that anyone would care, but shit, at least you showing me some true Spider-Man sacrifice for real. It's like the MCU Spider-Man writers are unable to write a movie that has real stakes you feel, but without it being the multiverse is gonna explode. And maybe the stakes being, hey, he's gonna miss Homecoming and he has to leave Liz would have hit a lot more and been a lot stronger if in the first 40 minutes of the movie, instead of dick riding Tony, you develop that relationship way more. Then in that case, we could feel, oh fuck, he's not gonna get the girl, and it would actually feel like something. I know a lot of people love this movie, but I don't know. For me, it just feels like too much MCU influence all over it, and it really hinders the movie. I'm realizing my overall issue with these movies before No Way Home is that there's too much Peter Parker and not enough Spider-Man. When I look at other modern superhero films like The Batman or Superman from last year, they are Bruce and Clark Kent for an extremely small portion of these movies. And I love that. For a movie, I want to see Spider-Man doing shit more than I want to see Peter doing mundane things like going to school parties or in gym class doing crunches with his fat ass friend who I know can't do 3 of those bitches. And just too much of these first 2 Tom movies are just him kind of being a teenager and not enough being a superhero. Number 7, Spider-Man 3, B tier.
I'm gonna put some dirt in your eye.
I want to preface this. Now we're getting into movies that I genuinely like. I like Spider-Man 3. Spider-Man 3 is what people think TASM 2 is. It's a mess, but man, it's a fucking fun ass mess. Like I said, now we're getting into movies I genuinely enjoy, so I can be more positive, no Magic Johnson now. Listen, say what you want about emo Peter. Was that shit extremely cringe? Hell yeah. His corny ass was hitting dudes with roasts like,
I don't care that you broke your elbow.
And hitting dance moves that would def get him kicked out the club. He was giving off vibes of someone who posts how they a popular loner. But at the same time, he was really on demon timing. Nigga got Eddie fired for faking images.
Get out of my building.
I was just
You're fired!
If only they knew what AI was doing nowadays.
Oh my god.
Took his girl, had her dancing on him, sent that nigga spiraling so bad he went to church and prayed that Peter would die.
I want you to kill Peter Parker.
And the black suit Spider-Man is so iconic and so clean looking, it just has so much aura, bro. He was moving like the Punisher. I was fucking with it. He slid on Sandman and truly wanted to kill that man, then caught Harry lacking and gave him the whooping of a lifetime. Had his face looking like Obito's. I also like this side of Peter that they explored. You have a character that over 2 movies so far you've built up, so what do you do now? You give him a big ass head now that he's at the top and tear him back down. He was kind of moving like a dick even before the symbiote, kissing Gwen in front of his girl. The clout was getting to him, and I like this exploration of the character instead of just another, oh, Peter's getting treated like shit again, how do we make him persevere over this? They gave Peter a different type of emotional conflict to overcome, and it's entirely internal, and I think that's interesting. I also think the overall theme of the movie being forgiveness was nice. I provide forgiveness all the time. My homie Shuffle accidentally played Jay-Z, and I forgave him despite my ears bleeding. Peter forgiving Harry, and forgiving MJ, still saving her, and Harry forgiving Peter, coming to save him, despite everything showing bros over hoes, and even dying for him, with Peter also forgiving Sandman. It's all just so beautiful, everybody forgiving.
I forgive you.
That's not to say though that this movie doesn't have issues, of course. And there's a big black one. No, I'm not talking about Robbie Robertson, you racist. I'm talking about Venom. There's no secret that this Venom wasn't great. He was like 5'6", his suit was weird looking, his sound effects were off, the voice wasn't there, the roar wasn't there, and worst of all, it was Topher Grace's performance was not convincing as a villain at all. Topher Grace really stood there and said, I'm a villain, cause I like to do bad things. Come on man, who wrote that shit? Which connects to the issue of the fact that this movie had too many damn villains. They tried to balance Spider-Man, going against Green Goblin, Sandman, and Venom, and MJ, cause that bitch was always hating all in one movie, which didn't really give any villain the time they really needed to develop. It's so clustered, they literally have to pause certain storylines so others can try and continue. Like them giving Harry amnesia conveniently, just so that they could give themselves enough time in the movie to try and develop Eddie, which then just becomes he hates the journalist Peter because he exposed him, so now he wants to kill that nigga. No one fully felt fleshed out. It's like each third of the movie is dedicated to a different villain. It's weird. Especially when all of these villains could have stood in their very own movie as a main villain. The movie does have a lot of swag to it. The suits are dope. It has very cool fights. And overall, it is a movie that's just kind of slop, but it's really fun slop. That's why I say it's what people say TASM 2 is, but TASM 2 really isn't that. The Amazing Spider-Man 1, B tier. I personally think that TASM 1 is one of the most underrated and overhated Spider-Man movies of all time. You niggas will sit here and pretend as if it's the same level of dog shit that TASM 2 is, and it's not. They are not two cheeks of the same ass. I understand why some people don't like TASM 1 because it's probably the least comic book accurate Spider-Man movie to date, and people love their comic accuracy. Hulk shorts gotta be purple, Thor gotta speak like a Shakespearean. Comic accuracy doesn't mean good, and not comic accurate doesn't mean bad. For example, in Infinity War, Thanos has a fake woke mission of trying to save humanity. That's why half you niggas gotta go. In the comics, he does it because he wants to clap death. In Batman 2022, the Riddler was some creepy dude in a green trench coat versus the goofy leprechaun that he is in the comics. If done right, I have no issue with changes. TASM 1 is a much darker take on the Spider-Man character and world, where the Sam Raimi trilogy was more about Spider-Man as this beacon of light. This Andrew Garfield version of Spider-Man was more like the Daredevil show or Man of Steel Superman in tone, where it's a more gritty and dark take on the character. I know a lot of people have their issues with Andrew. They be like, oh, he's too handsome. You see Tom? That's how Spider-Man should look. He's the perfect amount of chop. Haters of this movie paint Andrew Spider-Man as if he's some cool guy because he skateboards, but that's just not true. This take on Spider-Man isn't cool. He gets fucking bullied and has no friends. I would say more accurately that this is more of an angsty loner take on the character instead of the typical geek. It feels more like Peter goes home and posts popular loner on his IG story. This version of Spider-Man also doesn't feel as much of like a hero. He's actually kind of scary, like Andrew is actively kind of torturing a car thief.
Man, no! Come on, let me go! Stop it!
In that very scene, after the cops come, he literally tells the guy, "You're so lucky cause I would've fucked you up." Nigga was talking to his villains like John Jones.
There is nothing you can do to stop me from coming at you round after round with the most malicious techniques I know.
And this is because to start the movie, Peter is only Spider-Man because he's on a vendetta to avenge his uncle and find the killer. I ain't doing this Spider-Man shit to save people, I'm doing it to catch a body. Spider-Man, please, save me! Bitch, call the police. That is not my job.
That is not my job.
And trust me, I can understand why haters of this movie feel like this is a huge mischaracterization of Spider-Man, but I think a lot of the core elements still remain. Despite how he starts off as Spider-Man, when Lizard attacks the bridge for the first time, Peter springs into action, literally holding on to a car with the kid in it with one arm and giving the kid his Spider-Man mask so that he could have the strength to empower himself so he could climb up and he could grab him, handing a child over to his father. That is peak Spider-Man characterization if you ask me. I don't feel like the darker, more realistic approach to Spider-Man butchers the character. This isn't Zack Snyder's Batman where he's killing niggas. There's also the fact that no other Spider-Man moves as much like a spider as Andrew does. Andrew is the only live-action Spider-Man that fights like a spider. He was literally crawling on Lizard while webbing him up in the school. He's by far the most acrobatic. Of all the Spider-Man actors, I feel he gives the most performance behind the mask. Just look at this scene where he's talking to Gwen when she pulls up at the final battle and he's upset with her.
Be here right now. I'm not messing around. You can't be here right now. This is insane.
There's so many mannerisms going on. It really feeds into the performance. And while we're talking about this, they also nailed the romance, obviously. The movie even did NYC right. Unlike Tom's shitty ass, he's actually in New York, and it itself is a character. When Spider-Man has been shot by the police and can't swing over to stop the Lizard, it's the people who help him, the people of the city who look to Spider-Man. The same man who he saved his son earlier in the movie has his construction workers put out cranes to help Spider-Man get over there fast enough. That feels like a scene that could have been ripped straight from the Sam Raimi trilogy, and you trying to tell me they mischaracterized Spider-Man in this? Stop it. The action in this movie is of course fire, just as fire as TASM 2, even though I had that movie last. One thing I cannot complain about these movies is the way they handle the fight scenes. The whole school fight with the Lizard is peak. That Stan Lee cameo is the most Spider-Man thing ever. The final battle is beautiful. Because it's a dark take on Spider-Man, they get to do a lot with the lighting and don't hold back in that department at all with the visuals. That's of course not to say this movie is perfect though. I'm personally a big fan on how modern superhero movies skip origin stories. We did not see Batman's parents get slimed out in an alley for a fake chain in the Batman. In the Tom Holland movies, Uncle Ben doesn't even exist and there's only his Aunt May. Superman 2025, we don't see his parents getting blown to smithereens and him growing up on a farm. Fantastic Four 2025, they give us a slideshow for a backstory in 5 minutes. I feel we could have went without Uncle Ben getting blasted again. Seeing Uncle Ben is like seeing James Harden in the playoffs. You know he's gonna disappear soon enough. That dumbass nigga saw a gun fall out somebody's pocket and decided to run for it. You should have just minded your business, Gramps. The first 25 minutes is backstory, and that could have been better used. Could have given Dr. Connors better motives, which is another weak point of this movie. Not only does the lizard look like a live-action Ninja Turtle, ugly as shit, but his motives makes no sense. He makes the lizard serum to try to grow his arm back, and it backfires. Cool, that makes sense. But why the fuck is his evil ass plan to turn everyone else into lizards? You chopped, so now everyone else gotta be ugly too? It's explained that he thinks the next step to evolution is everybody being lizards, but I ain't buying that. Also, Peter's parents are a big part of this movie again, and like I stated in TASM 2, I don't know why. Number 5, Across the Spider-Verse, A tier. I feel like now we're reaching the level of 8 out of 10 to 9 out of 10 to 10 out of 10 quality movies. We get into the heavy hitters. It'll probably be higher for me on this list, but I think the fact that this movie feels so much like a part 1 hinders it as a standalone film. And that's probably because Across the Spider-Verse and Beyond the Spider-Verse, which we're probably getting when we're fucking 80 years old at this point, were supposed to be one movie but got split into 2. And I think you feel that a lot. Almost all of the emotional buildup that this movie has with Miles' dad's fate, his severed relationship with Peter B. Parker and Gwen, his beef with Miguel, who was sounding like stink meaner the whole movie.
Who in the hell parked in my space?
Hitting Miles with, "You're not one of us, boy."
What do you mean by that?
The other villain Spot, him being in a new universe, being trapped by another version of himself, and the Prowler at the end. Not one of these plot points see a resolution by the end of the movie. Not a single one. And while that does leave you hyped for the next movie, as a standalone movie, I do think the takeoff can be epic, but it's also important you gotta land that bitch at the end. My only other issue with this movie is the pacing. The first portion of the movie kind of drags a bit. It's a lot of Gwen backstory, which I like, and then it's Miles' turmoil with his parents. Then once Miles and Gwen start universe hopping, it's complete beautiful chaos, to then the movie with 40 different conflicts all going on decides to dedicate the last 15-ish minutes to purely set up for the next movie with the Dominican Miles and Kevin Garnett being alive again. That being said, despite the 2 flaws I have for this movie, it's still an incredible movie. Just because the movie ain't perfect doesn't mean it's not still a banger. For one, the soundtrack is insane. I mean, it's just banger after banger after banger. Am I Dreaming, Annihilate, Calling, Silk and Cologne, Home, Mona Lisa. They even made Coyle Ray Talented. Self-Love, probably the best song in this movie. You know how crazy that is?
From suburban towns, to
and the next very obvious compliment I can give this movie is the visuals. Somehow, someway, they managed to top the groundbreaking feat that was the first movie, and it's just a spectacle to watch. So many flashing colors and lights. This must be what the average Tuesday is like for Demi Lovato. I can't sit here and pretend like I'm a musical genius like 6ix9ine or an animation expert like the Dragon Ball Super people, so I don't have much to say except the music was hitting and the animation was of course stunning. I also like how some characters get fleshed out more in this movie. For example,
Wanda? It's Gwen.
We get a whole backstory for her and the tragedy she's been through. Her Peter Parker was drinking Hulk piss, and so when she beat the lizard's ass killing him, it turned out she had just slimed out her best friend, his dying words being to her,
"Wanted to be special.
I just wanted to be special." I mean, nigga, you could have just picked up an instrument or something to do that. The turmoil between her and her dad. He hates Spider-Woman, telling her to get back in the kitchen, not realizing that that is his daughter. And then when confronted face to face, she reveals her identity to him, and he's still about to arrest her before Miguel steps in. Nigga really choosing the badge over his daughter. The writing around Miles is also amazing, because it's like, okay, in the first movie he becomes Spider-Man, but then in this movie they explore the idea of if he's truly Spider-Man or not, and he says, yes the fuck I am. Instead of like other movies just having Spider-Man experiencing trauma, whether that be his uncle dying, Mary Jane being a thought, Aunt May dying, Gwen dying, Peter being so broke he can't afford Costco free samples, this movie asks the question, does Spider-Man need trauma to really be Spider-Man? We've become so accustomed to trauma being a part of Spider-Man's story, and I think it's a very cool introspective question to ask, well, how necessary is it? The characterization of Spider-Man does get questioned, the Peter Parkers, because some feel Peter was misrepresented in order to make Miles seem like he's doing something special, rejecting the idea of canon events, when in reality, that's probably something any Peter Parker would fight against too. Like, what the fuck do you mean, let my uncle die? Most Peters probably would be like, fuck no. And I think that that's a fair criticism, dude. So the idea that all these other Peters would just be like, oh, cool, I guess they gotta die, it is what it is, does kind of seem like a cop-out. Regardless though, I still enjoy the ideological battle between Miles and Miguel, the battle of empathy versus rigid logic, because you can genuinely see where they're both coming from, as well as the physical battle, like Miles versus the Spider Society was peak action. The movie is also very emotional. The personal relationships between Miles and Peter B. Parker, watching Miles lose trust in him was heartbreaking. Same with Gwen, and of course his parents. This is a movie that just makes you feel for real. Number 4, Spider-Man 1, A tier. The one that started it all, man. I'm pretty sure this movie got a special place in all of our hearts. I remember being a kid watching this movie being amazed. This was the first time of 30 million future times that we saw Uncle Ben get blasted on the big screen, the origin story of Peter Parker becoming Spider-Man, and had us all thinking Spider-Man shooting his seed out his wrist was normal tech. Despite the love I have for this movie, it isn't perfect, of course. I do personally think that Tobey's portrayal of specifically Peter Parker is a bit overrated. A lot of people will call this version of Peter relatable to us loners, and who the fuck is we? Who's us? I'm nothing like you losers. This version of Peter is just too much of a geek. He's too mopey for me. I think someone like Tom or even Andrew's Peter are actual human beings you could meet. If I met someone like Tobey's Peter and they weren't autistic, I'd be real confused why you acting like that. I think they swung the pendulum a little too far to the side of loser, to the point where I couldn't even understand why someone like this would have any friends. Why the fuck would Harry want to be homies with this dweeb? If you look at better versions of Peter like Insomniac's or Spectacular Spider-Man's portrayal of Peter, while intelligent, while a geek, while kind and gentle, there's still a level of charismaticness that's supposed to be there that is completely absent in Tobey's portrayal of Spider-Man, in my opinion.
I liked seeing you tonight, Peter.
Oh boy, yeah.
However, Tobey's Spider-Man, I got no complaints. The suit is so clean and the motives are perfect. Obviously, Uncle Ben and Peter get into an argument. Uncle Ben says the line, "With great power comes great responsibility."
With great power comes great responsibility.
And Peter's just like, man, this old nigga tripping, telling him you're not my dad.
And I know I'm not your father.
Then stop pretending to be.
And then later on in the day, while waiting to pick Peter up, he gets 300 pumped in the chest. And this movie perfectly represents the stages of grief that Peter experiences. Of course, starting revengeful, leading to Uncle Ben's murderer accidentally dying to fall damage, and then him eventually remembering Uncle Ben's words and deciding he must use his powers for good. Seeing that progression in his character is so perfectly executed, it feels very natural. We get full compilations to him just saving people, stopping bank robbings, saving Mary Jane 30 million times, a bus full of kids, saving people from Green Goblin attacks, doing true Spider-Man shit. I love the MCU, but the Avengers would defeat the villain with 80 million casualties and just go get some eats after like it's nothing. It's also very cool to see the mental battle between Spider-Man and Green Goblin bounce off each other, and obviously he's a peak villain. The conversation they have on the roof when Norman is trying to recruit him is peak character dialogue at its best.
In spite of everything you've done for them, eventually they will hate you.
This nigga's spitting right now.
I will say, their fights are kinda dated, the choreography isn't great, there's really nothing Spider-Man-y about the way he fights. You could put this nigga Peter in a Punisher outfit and nothing changes, which is a negative. Part of what makes Spider-Man fight so cool is the potential of moves he can do other characters can't, because how unique his power set is. But in this movie, they kinda just stand there and box. Not to mention the quips are also great.
Go web! Fly! Shazam!
I mean, Tobey just is Spider-Man. We of course have to mention the romance between my guy Peter and Mary for all of NYC Jane Watson, who gets with Harry. And I just have to say real quick, Harry Osborn in this trilogy is the worst fucking friend ever.
Isn't that right?
He gets with Gwen and lies to Peter about it in this movie. In the second movie, he slaps Peter in front of everyone, embarrassing him, then tries to kill my nigga in the third one and takes his bitch again. Yeah, bro, he needed to go. That was a horrible man's. But yeah, the MJ and Peter romance is nice. Shout out to Spider-Man 1, man. Great movie. It's top 3 time, man. It's about to get real interesting. Y'all ready? Number 3, No Way Home, A tier. I will never let y'all lie and say No Way Home isn't a peak movie. Everyone was calling this shit the best Spider-Man movie out the theater. Then niggas switched up faster than KD when his team don't win the championship.
Yeah, I'm in the Aston doing donuts. I will kill the game.
Oh my God, my boy say he's in the Aston doing donuts.
Listen to a karate kicking high note. My innocence will eventually.
This nigga doing the most.
And it be the most dumb criticisms. People be like, oh, well, there's a pause when Andrew and Tobey show up in the portals so that audiences could cheer. Man, shut your dumb ass up. That's not real criticism. The public can never agree on anything. I mean, there's people out here who think White Castle makes good food. Niggas be having any type of opinions. But I think there's a consensus about No Way Home that the last hour of this movie is probably some of the best Spider-Man content we've ever gotten to date across any medium, closely followed by Spider-Cuz, of course.
Suck my fucking dick, Batman!
But a lot of people feel like the opening hour moves along too slowly, and I can't disagree more. You're thrown into the movie directly after the events of Far From Home, which is of Spider-Man getting his identity revealed, the blame pinned on him of killing Mysterio, and how he's gonna try to fight the case. Free my son Big Pete Peasy, he innocent. You're thrown into instant tension. Y'all ADHD ass niggas just want a final battle in all phases of the movie nowadays. Peter goes to Doctor Strange by minute 13, and Doc Ock shows up by minute 28 in a 2.5 hour movie. I don't understand that complaint that, oh, it starts slow. This may be a hot take. I think No Way Home gives the second best Peter Parker / Spider-Man character study behind the one Peter Parker movie I have above it. This is where Tom really is Spider-Man and no more of that Iron Boy Jr. shit. Him deciding to save the villains instead of just sending them back to certain death is Spider-Man. The moment he realizes just sending them back like this will kill them, he's like, fuck no, we not doing that. Peter stands by his resolve so strongly, he even goes as far as to fight Doctor Strange, the nigga who, despite getting his chain snatched by Thanos, is one of the most powerful characters. He tells Strange, I'm sorry, but I have to try and save them. He tells Strange to have a heart. And that right there is Spider-Man. He even traps Doctor Strange by using fucking geography.
Geometry? You're great at geometry. You could do geometry.
That's peak Spider-Man geek shit right there. But they also explore the flaws of Spider-Man here. Spider-Man's fatal flaw is he follows responsibility to the level of self-destruction. And that gets explored. If Peter hadn't tried to save the villains, Aunt May wouldn't have died.
With great power, there must also...
So while she's dying, he starts to obviously doubt his beliefs. But Aunt May, someone who hadn't been given much to do up until this point, even while bleeding out, while dying, tells Peter he did the right thing. Saving the villains is the right thing to do, and you must still do it. With great power comes great responsibility. They really get into the character of Spider-Man in a beautiful way in this movie. Spider-Man goes through hell in this movie. Literally the entire world turns against him. The public hates him. The villains are on the loose. He loses his aunt. Happy is arrested. The military literally shoots him. And yet still, with the help of his aunt's words and a talk with Andrew and Tobey on top of the roof, decides to do the right thing. Everyone already thinks he's the villain, and it would have been so easy just to be that then. Chris Brown ain't fixed his image. He said, F it, it's too late now, and just continued catching cases. I got one more in me. And then at the end of the movie, makes the ultimate sacrifice. He lets go of everyone he loves in order to save the world. This is peak Spider-Man characterization, bruh. The writing is also enhanced by Tom Holland's amazing performance. Niggas trying to say he can't act are just lying, bro. Just watch the Aunt May death scene, the convo with Andrew and Tobey, the final fight versus Goblin. Niggas be talking about Tom Holland like he's Kevin Hart. Kevin Hart could never do this shit, nor could he grow.
shorter than Kevin Hart.
There's such a subtlety to Tom's performance, it's not loud. Take this scene right here. The final conversation he has with MJ. He's planning to tell them who he is. He walks in there with those intentions, but then he sees their excitement for MIT.
Are you excited for MIT?
Oh, right, yeah.
And it makes him rethink. He's still contemplating it though, and then when she combs back her hair, he sees the scar left from the battle that he feels he dragged her into. And you can see it on Tom's face the moment he accepts that life for them without him is the safest life they're gonna live. And he smiles, but there's such a level of pain behind his smile.
Is there anything else?
And puts the note he had rehearsed in his pocket. The performances in this movie are peak. Nobody here is phoning it in. They acting like it's their last job they finna get. And for that bald nigga Ned, it probably is. This is a deeply emotional movie. It's the only Spider-Man movie that got a tear out of me. That final conversation with MJ was heartbreaking. And the talk between all the Spider-Man about the loss they've experienced, Andrew saving MJ and getting to redeem himself, but it also has so much hype to it while still having depth. The character interactions are just great, and they are a big reason why I love this movie so much. Peter's lawyer being Daredevil is peak, and the little reaction he has when he catches the brick had Peter wondering, what the fuck, how did he just catch Westbrook's jump shot like that so easily? Andrew talking with Electro, and Electro saying, I thought you were black, and him saying, oh man, I'm sorry.
I just thought you was gonna be black.
Oh man, I'm sorry.
Peter and Doc Ock meeting again post-death. How are you, Peter? Trying to do better, calling back to their movie.
How are you? Trying to do better.
You got Ned asking Toby if he also had a best friend, and Toby explaining what happened at the end of Spider-Man 3. It's just all so good, especially the banter between the three Spider-Men. It's perfect. The way how they all bounce off of each other is exactly what I could have hoped for.
I know, we suck. I don't know how to work as a team.
Me neither.
Like Tom telling them he was an Avenger and them asking, whoa, is that a band?
I don't want to brag, but I will. I was in the Avengers.
The Avengers?
Yeah.
That's great.
Thank you.
What is that?
Is that a band?
The dynamics just work. You got Toby as the wise oldest brother, you got Andrew as the self-deprecating yet very loving middle brother, and Tom as the impressionable little brother. Seeing them have to learn to fight together in the middle of battle, it's just so good, man. This movie is so good. Y'all lying. The villains are of course great. Everything Willem Dafoe is a highlight. That nigga told Peter, your weakness is morality. There's a physical battle between them obviously, the two of them taking turns beating the Mario coins out of each other, but there's also just as equally a mental one being had. Norman believes in nihilism. All this superhero shit is fake. There's no point of altruism, and he tries to corrupt Peter to this side by killing Aunt May. There are criticisms of this movie that I of course understand, like Peter talking too much is what fucks up the spell in the first place. That's some Mickey Mouse Clubhouse silly ass reasoning. He changes suits like 3 times cause they gotta sell toys. The whole lore behind how exactly everything works does leave some questions about time travel and shit, but ultimately, this movie is special, man. Number 2, Into the Spider-Verse, S tier. I'm not even gonna lie to y'all. I don't have a single flaw I can conjure up about this movie. Let's get the 2 obvious things out the way. Just like Across the Spider-Verse, this movie, A, looks amazing, and B, the sound design / soundtrack is amazing. What's Up Danger, Sunflower went 9 times platinum, and Sway Lee never did no shit like that again. Invincible, Hide by Juice WRLD. I know some people don't like when movies use licensed music, but honestly,
Quiet, old nigga! Quiet!
let me listen to my Post Malone while watching some Spider-Man. And the other very obvious compliment about this movie is the visuals. This is probably the second best looking animated movie I've ever seen behind Across the Spider-Verse. They blended like a million different art styles into one and nothing clashes. It's literally a comic book come to life. Thank God comics can't actually come to life though. That nigga Absolute Joker would do us all crazy. I know some freak ass niggas somewhere talking about hear me out though. You got Spider-Man Noir in his own specific theme, then Penny Parker in her own specific theme, Spider-Ham in his own theme, and yet they all somehow perfectly blend with the style that Miles is in. This movie is an animation miracle that somehow got pulled off. Tell them niggas in Naruto to take notes. Man, just take a look at the battle at Aunt May's house. My eyes are catching a blowjob. This shit feels so good to look at. And then look at the final battle versus Kingpin. Same thing. I had to pinch myself during a lot of these fights to make sure I'm not dreaming. I haven't had to do that since I got the great news that Blueface was retiring from music. Visuals alone with the mid-story, and you could convince me this movie's already a 7 out of 10 minimum. But when you add great writing to these insane visuals, you have yourself one of the best movies I've ever seen. No, not one of the best superhero movies, it's one of the best movies. We not caveating shit. Niggas be like, yeah, he was the best player that had 30 in March while only taking 52 steps and having a 63-degree fever while under 24 years old. Miles isn't just Black Peter Parker in this movie. He's a whole different character. Peter is someone who you might describe as a geek. He's more of a tense person, very reactive, slightly neurotic. Miles isn't necessarily that. This is a character who's shown to actually be pretty cool. When he's walking through his neighborhood in the beginning of the movie, everyone's glazing him, and it's very clear his name holds weight in these streets. While he does still have insecurities, he gives off a much more confident feeling about himself in general. And you can see that when he becomes Spider-Man and is thrusted into this new world, he feels way more in and over his head. But he refuses to run from it. He's running towards it to get that ass beat the fuck up because he has no control of his powers. And Peter B. Parker tells him that in the dorm room when Miles is tied up. LOL nigga, you wanna help so bad? But you can't even go invisible on command. Go ahead, do it. Do it and you can come. Which all leads to the leap of faith scene.
Like, what's up, danger?
Which is one of the best comic book movie scenes ever. Miles listening to Peter and his Uncle Aaron's words, and while still scared, taking that leap to truly being Spider-Man. Completing an amazing payoff of emotional growth to what's been built up since the movie started. In this moment, Miles Morales officially becomes Nigga Man, and it's beautiful to see. It's not just Miles who's great, all the characters are. Peter B. Parker with that rod wave-sized belly, 40 years old, no wife, no kids. This Kevin Durant if he was Spider-Man. Remember I said Peter's fatal flaw is that he embodies responsibility to the level of self-destruction? Well, Peter B. Parker is the perfect example of that. He's an amazing character, and seeing his relationship with Miles is so fun. In contrast, Miles has another father figure relationship with his Uncle Aaron. Uncle Aaron is his cool uncle that's got his life together seemingly, encourages him creatively, not only letting his creativity breathe, but flourish. He can ask his Uncle Aaron anything. Hey Unc, what haircut should I get? Is Friday really a classic movie for real? Unc, how do I get some bitches? Like, hey. No. Hey. You have Miles who's learning how to be a good hero from Peter B. Parker, and while Peter is a good hero, his home life and personal life is an absolute mess. And then on the contrast, you have Uncle Aaron who's seemingly teaching Miles how to be a good person, how to be a good man, how to be a better man. But his supervillain life is a complete mess. He's working for Kingpin. He in a 6,500 deal he can't get out of, like it's a Diddy contract. You gotta give me 6 more albums and some cheeks, nigga, oil up. Gwen is great in this movie, all of the other Spider people are, and Kingpin as a villain is also perfect. He takes up every scene he's in, literally. Them big ass shoulders eat up the entire screen. There's not much I can say about this movie that hasn't been said already, but despite it being incredible, it is not my number one, because my number one for me goes to Spider-Man 2, also S tier. As you can see, I have Into the Spider-Verse and Spider-Man 2 as the only S tier films. I could understand either one of them being your number one Spider-Man movie, but for me, I got Spider-Man 2. Let's get the obvious out the way. Spider-Man 2 has the best action of any Spider-Man movie. This movie gave me one of my first YouTube bangers. The Doc Ock vs. Spider-Man fight is one of the most glorious things I've ever seen. Had me like this the entire movie. They box across the entirety of New York, starting at a bank, to then fighting on the side of apartment buildings. Got niggas watching YouTube wondering why Spider-Man just flew into my living room, to then boxing on top of the West Side Clock Tower, to then on top of a moving train. The way they use the entirety of New York City as a set piece is exactly what I want from a Spider-Man movie. It's so good. New York itself is supposed to be a character, and you see that in this movie. Spider-Man stops the train, and they see his identity, but they swear they won't say anything to protect the sanctity of their superhero's image. That would never happen nowadays. In 0.5 seconds, that shit would have already been on TikTok and Twitter. Remember how I said No Way Home has, in my opinion, the second best Spider-Man character study? Yeah, well, that's because I think Spider-Man has the best. This movie is fucking brutal to Peter. He's literally this dude, my hoe going, dog dead, Ass at the game, kicked out, crashed my car, I'm broke. I've watched 13 Reasons Why. I've seen characters off themselves for less. Peter in this movie loses his job and can barely pay his rent. He is failing classes horribly.
I'm failing you.
Nigga getting letters on tests I didn't even know were possible. His Aunt May can't pay her mortgage. He's still grieving his dead uncle. His crush feels neglected by him because he always too busy being Spider-Man for her and rejects him. The nigga can't even get a cupcake at the party. After getting rejected, bro takes a glass to wash away his sorrows and that bitch empty. She now has a new boyfriend that she's walking down the podium with and announces their marriage right in front of his face while he's forced to be a cuck and take the picture of them. And his so-called homie hates him, comes up to him angry as hell, blaming Peter for his parlay. Apparently Peter told him to bet the over on Rudy Gobert 10 threes and slaps the mess out of him in front of everyone.
Isn't that right?
Oh, and not to mention, this is all right after he just lost the first fight to Doc Ock. I wouldn't wish this type of life on my worst enemy, bro. And it honestly becomes so much on Peter that we get this amazing scene where he talks to Uncle Ben and rejects Uncle Ben's wishes. He tells Uncle Ben, I want a life of my own. I can't keep living your wishes. I'm not no Spider-Man. I'm just Peter Parker. And he quits. He quits being Spider-Man. And the amazing part of this scene is that neither of them are wrong. Peter isn't wrong for this. He isn't wrong for not wanting to be Spider-Man because his being Spider-Man up until this point was driven by pain and guilt. He can't live someone else's dream and shouldn't. He has to find his own why to being Spider-Man. And that's what we see unfold. But it's amazing because he doesn't even realize he's finding his why. Once Peter quits being Spider-Man, he's the happiest he's ever been. But yet, when a little girl needs help in a fire-burning building, it's impossible for Peter to turn away and leave it to the firefighters. Because ultimately, he does have his why to being Spider-Man. It's driven by his love for others, which is referenced so beautifully in the talk he has with his Aunt May when she gives him the speech.
Kids like Henry need a hero. Courageous, self-sacrificing people, setting examples for all of us.
And this is when Peter comes back as Spider-Man, fights Doc Ock, stops the train, and saves the day in the end. It's such an amazing character journey to watch him go through that is just expertly written. When you combine the best action of any Spider-Man movie, the best character writing of any Spider-Man movie, a very intriguing plot with Doc Ock trying to build a sun-like energy reactor, a movie filled by amazing character interactions, and such amazing filming techniques, I mean, Sam Raimi was really in his bag. Just look at this scene where Doc Ock kills the surgeons. This is straight horror in the middle of a Spider-Man movie. It's so fire. But yeah, man, Spider-Man 2 is my number one. Spider-Man 2 wins it all for me. Let me know if you guys like this type of video. I could do Batman movies next, Superman movies next, Avengers, whatever you want. Like, subscribe, on the way to 700K. Let me know in the comments. Peace.